Breaking cruise news, NCL comes forth with a bold plan to restart U.S. cruises by July the 4th, 2021. Can they make it happen? What is the plan? Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Lido Loca. I'm your host Tony, here with the latest cruise news updates. And the cruise news updates are big this morning. After a tumultuous 4 and 5 days tracking along with cruise news, well, the explosions keep happening. Norwegian Cruise Line holding out with a big bombshell this morning, a plan to restart cruising by July the 4th, 2021, an appeal to the CDC to let them do it. And they're going to mandate a vaccine. A lot of people didn't think that was going to happen for U.S. cruises. But yeah, let me tell you all about it. First of all, welcome to Monday. Welcome to the show. Let me give you the invite if you like staying up to date with everything that's going on in cruising. I'll give it to you. Come on now. All you got to do, hit the subscribe button with the notification bell. You'll be a part of this virtual community. It doesn't cost anything. That way you get notified when these shows come out. Thank you in advance. Well, first, let's quickly recap what's been going on in cruising. It's been a few days of highs and lows, to be honest. If we go back to Thursday, we were mildly excited when we heard that the mayor of Miami-Dade County had a good conversation with the CDC, and in that conversation, the CDC said that very soon, shortly, I think they gave us shortly, they upgraded us to shortly there would be new technical guidance for the restart of cruising. And we all kind of yawned and said, well, we've heard soon before. Is it really going to be shortly? Well, it turned out to be shortly. But before that, the CDC came out. Now, let's track along with it. In the middle of March, the CDC gave guidance for vaccinated people, how they could interact with people here in the United States. And I postulated at that time that soon we would have travel guidance. And so fast forward a couple more weeks and we got that travel guidance, and the travel guidance was good. CDC coming out and saying that vaccinated people have more liberty when they travel domestically, when they travel internationally. No need for quarantine. They really kind of lessened the restrictions that were in place. And when that news came out about midday on Friday, we were excited, man. If they're going to let vaccinated people have this liberty internationally and domestically, then maybe that would bode well for cruising. Well, then in the evening on Friday, we got the very shortly promised technical guidance for cruising. And it was not an easy pill to swallow. Let me just say that. The guidance that came out was not an easy path to cruising. And we spent the weekend talking about that, really kind of wondering how the cruise lines would respond. It really was a continuation of the hoop jumping that we'd seen in phase 1 of the technical guidance. And it's like, well, how long is it going to take to jump through these hoops? Now, look, these hoops were, making agreements with local port authorities, local medical officials, which I thought that the cruise lines are well positioned to do that. And so I thought that's what we would see next from the cruise lines. Now, another thing that started happening over the weekend is I started getting messages, I started seeing comments on the videos that people who had Norwegian Cruise Line cruises booked for July and August, they were saying that those cruises were no longer on the website. I did verify it. There were no July and August cruises, and normally that indicates that there's going to be some cancellation. I think that may still be what the deal is, but more about that later. And so you started to think, well, maybe NCL is bowing out for the summer. Maybe they're just going to wait it out. That was one of the options I put forth, is that these cruise lines could just wait it out until, there's no longer a public health emergency, until more of the population got vaccinated. Maybe NCL, they're just going to take their ships and go home for a little bit and wait for it to pass. Well, that's not the case. NCL out this morning with a letter to the CDC. This letter is important. I'm going to read it to you. We're going to go through point by point. So this letter is dated today, April the 5th, 2021. It is addressed to the director of the CDC, Dr. Rochelle Walensky. And the title, the reason, our plan to join America's national opening this summer. So right off the bat, the title establishes what I think is a compelling argument that will be echoed throughout the entire letter, is that the whole goal, everything that we hear from the current administration, from the CDC, is to get America back to normalcy by the summer. July the 4th has been touted as a big day by the administration, as a lot of people will be vaccinated, things will be getting back to normal. And so smartly, smartly, the folks at NCL jump into that narrative and say, we want to be a part of that. Yeah, sounds great. We want to be a part of that. And this is a greatly crafted letter. I mean, you know they had a team of people doing it, but I love it. Dear Dr. Walensky, in the ongoing spirit of cooperation between Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings and the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and out of defense and respect for the career CDC scientists working tirelessly on behalf of all Americans, I write to advise you that NCL has developed a comprehensive and robust science-based plan that should become the model for how the travel and hospitality industry operates in a COVID-19 environment, and which will be mutually beneficial for the public health mission that you and your agency are dedicated to serving and to NCLH's various constituencies. And in this opening paragraph, notice Norwegian will continue to insert itself into the mission of the CDC, into the goal of the restart of business in the US. Well crafted. As you know, NCLH is the parent company of 3 brands, Norwegian Cruise Line, Oceania, and Regent Seven Seas. On March the 13th, 2020, prior to the CDC issuing its first no-sell order, NCLH suspended all of its cruise operations across 3 brands worldwide in an effort to do our part as a responsible corporate citizen to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Nearly 13 months later, we believe that in light of the current health trends buttressed by the more than 650 million vaccines administered worldwide to date, it is time for NCLH to join the rest of the travel, tourism, and hospitality sectors in participating in the next phase of our recovery. Very simply, the big push of that paragraph is to say, look, we stopped cruising before you told us that we have to. We did the right thing, and now we would like to do the right thing and join other aspects of tourism that have already restarted to restart our business. They're starting to build the argument. We congratulate you and the CDC on the important steps taken to further facilitate safe travel for vaccinated Americans, as announced on April the 2nd, 2021. NCLH shares your views that vaccinations are the primary vehicle for Americans to get back to their everyday lives while containing the spread of the virus. We have worked tirelessly to ensure that our resumption of operations is guided by science and prioritize the health and safety of our passengers, crews, and communities we visit. Most importantly, because our return to service plan mandates that the entire population on board our vessels be vaccinated, our plan reduces the risk of outbreaks and severe COVID-19 cases. Accordingly, we will not require federal, state, or local governments to incur time and/or resources in providing medical assistance to our brand's guests. We have invested tens of millions of dollars in enhanced onboard health and safety protocols, including, but not limited to, enhanced hospital-grade air filtration systems, cutting-edge tracing technology, and significantly upgraded ICU and quarantine medical facilities. Our vessels are equipped to handle the one-off cases of infection that could occur, and our procedures are well detailed and resourced to treat, address, and otherwise handle any isolated case on board. With these as our guiding principles, we are pleased to outline our plan to safely resume cruising. All right, let's unpack that, because there is a lot there, and that's where they start to go head to head with the CDC. The first major thing that they say is that when we start cruising back in the United States, there will be a vaccine mandate. To cruise on NCL from the United States this year, 2021, you will have to be fully vaccinated, and that vaccine mandate will be for crew and passengers. They're saying that, look, you've told us that vaccine is the path forward. We've embraced vaccine as the path forward, and now that we have all these vaccinated people on the cruise ship, that the outbreak of COVID should be reduced to single cases. No big outbreak, no crazy Diamond Princess like last year, just single cases, because we know the vaccine works, because you've told us that the vaccine works, and if everybody is vaccinated, there should be limited or no outbreak. So they're heavy leveraging the CDC's own science to make their case. And this is where they go head to head with the CDC. In the 2A instructions, it's all about establishing relationships with local port authorities and local medical facilities that in case of an outbreak, that the cruise lines have something to do with their passengers. NCL has basically rejected that as a premise in here. They say it very clearly when they say, accordingly, we will not require federal, state, or local governments to incur time or resources in providing a medical assistance to our brand's guests. So they're saying, we hear what you're saying in phase 2A, but we're telling you the advancements that we've made and our belief that the vaccine works the way that you say it's going to work, CDC. we do not need those agreements with medical facilities. Now, to me, this could be the sticking point with the CDC. This is really the only thing that goes head to head with the CDC, because that's what the CDC is asking for in phase 2A. But Norwegian said, I hear you. But based on what you said last week and based on what we've done, we will not do phase 2A. Or at least they won't do the medical part of 2A. That's my takeaway from that. Now, if we move down a little further, the plan is really encapsulated in these 5 points. NCLH will require that all guests embarking from a U.S. port and disembarking to a U.S. port provide proof of having been fully vaccinated with an FDA, EMA, or WHO approved COVID-19 vaccine no less than 2 weeks prior than their departure date. So the 2 weeks bakes in that fully vaccinated aspect. Point number 2, all crew on NCLH vessels will be fully vaccinated with an FDA, EMA, or WHO approved COVID-19 vaccine at least 2 weeks prior to commencement of their duties on board their assigned vessel. Crew not coming on the vessel until they've been fully vaccinated. Point number 3, NCL will incorporate and operationalize the protocols developed by the Healthy Cell Panel, led by former Secretary of the Department of Health and Human Services, Michael Leavitt, and former Commissioner of the Food and Drug Administration, Dr. Scott Gottlieb. These protocols include universal testing of guests and crew, combined with required vaccine for all guests and crew, thereby creating a safe bubble-like environment. And then on to point 4. On July the 4th, 2021, NCL vessels will begin cruise operations at an initial reduced capacity of 60%, gradually ramping up our fleet, departing from U.S. ports and increasing capacity by every 20% every 30 days. And then the 5th point, these stringent requirements will remain in place until public health conditions allow for the implementation of more lenient protocols. So this is about the middle of the letter. They really lay out what their points are. And the big point is, look, we're going to vaccinate everybody. We're actually still going to test everybody. We are going to create that safe cruise bubble. And we would like to do that by July the 4th. And they throw the credentials out of the people that helped develop their safety protocols. Somebody that used to be the head of Health and Human Services, someone who used to be the head of the FDA. And so they're trying to demonstrate in this argument here that they didn't go at this half-heartedly, that they got some real heavy hitters in here to develop these protocols. And again, throughout this whole letter, they really do show an alignment to the strategy of the CDC. And you already may be thinking about it. If they're going to cruise in July, then why have they pulled all their July and August cruises off their website? I have a theory. When we get through the letter, I will let you know what that theory is. We're getting through the letter though, but it is worth going through, because they're going to attack this idea that other things are started and why can't cruising start. So this is where we go next. They say, we have published the complete Safe Sail health and safety program on our website and included a copy of it with this letter. By requiring full and complete vaccination of guests and crew, we believe our extensive health and safety standards share in the spirit and exceed the intent of the CDC's existing conditional cell order to advance public health goals and to protect guests, crew, and communities. Therefore, we respectfully request the CDC lift the CSO for all NCLH cruise vessels departing from U.S. ports effective July the 4th, 2021. This is the big moment right here. They say, look, what we've got is better than what you're suggesting, and because it's better, let us go with this. Let us out of that CSO. We're going above and beyond to meet your goals, and therefore you should not hold us to the lesser goals that you're putting forth in the CSO. Now, it's going to be interesting to see what the CDC says, if they push back against this, having an agreement with local health authorities, if they will agree with what NCL is doing. Is above and beyond. Now this is where it gets juicy. This is where NCL makes the play against airlines and hotels. All right, we trust that you will agree that our protocols extend well beyond the protocols of other travel, leisure, and hospitality sectors, all of which have already reopened, including hotels and resorts, casinos, restaurants, sporting venues, theme parks, and airlines. We believe that a cruise ship with a fully vaccinated population, when combined with the virus protection defenses provided by the Healthy Cell protocols, is one of the safest vacation options available. With a vaccine mandate and strict health and safety protocols in place, we are confident of our ability to provide a uniquely safe and healthy vacation environment. These mitigation protocols will minimize to the greatest extent possible further infection and spread of COVID-19. With our vessels back in operation, we will not only reinstate tens of thousands of American jobs and meet the significant American consumers' demand for cruising, but also recontribute hundreds of billions of dollars to the U.S. economy as the industry resumes cruise operations. They cover all the points in this letter, right? Now we get down to American jobs and American revenue. They just want to remind the CDC that there is a big American worker component to this, that there is a big American revenue component to this. Just a reminder, CDC, we get sailing again. It's not only good for us, but it's good for Americans. It's good for the government. And then they close it out. We look forward to a continued partnership with the CDC in recommencing operations with 100% vaccinated guests and crew on board. Independent the pandemic, our primary responsibility remains the safety and welfare of our guests and crew, recognizing our shared responsibility to health and safety standards, those which exceed the mandated regulations set for other dining, entertainment, travel, and tourism enterprises. We embrace these guidelines, and we view them as opportunities to strengthen public health measures and to restore public confidence in our industry and the broader travel sector as a whole. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Frank Del Rio. It's a nice closeout. They just remind everybody that, hey, cruising is all about passenger health and safety. I've made this argument before, and sometimes it falls on deaf ears. The cruise lines are really good at identifying things that will make cruise passengers sick and then working to minimize that. Norovirus is a great example. There are norovirus outbreaks on cruise ships. It gets a lot of press, but they are significantly minimal when compared to the amount of people that are cruising, and norovirus outbreaks on cruise ships are significantly minimal than the ones that happen on land. That's because the cruise line, they constantly work to keep their guests safe. They identify things that could make them sick, and then they minimize those. And that's the case that Frank Del Rio is making here. Look, we've had 13 months to attack this COVID. We've got lesson learned from things that went wrong early on in the pandemic, just like the world has had the opportunity to learn from those challenges, and we're ready to go. The protocols that we have in place are more robust, more safe than anything else that's going on in any other form of travel and tourism, and it aligns with what you guys have going on. How about letting us sail? That's the push. Now, the question, of course, why are the sailings for Norwegian Cruise Line not on the website for July and August? Does that signal some sort of cancellation? I think it does signal some sort of cancellation. I believe that if Norwegian gets the green light from the CDC, they will cancel their July and August sailings. That way that they can rebook them. And Norwegian's been doing it in a way where if your sailing gets canceled, they just issue a refund. They give you a 10% coupon for your next cruise. But here's the deal. This is the first time they're coming out saying that passengers will have to be fully vaccinated. And I can imagine if cruises that were booked a long time ago that did not have that requirement, that could be a challenge for these cruise lines, because you're going to have passengers who may not want to get vaccinated saying, when I booked this cruise, I didn't want to get vaccinated. Now can I get my money back? What's the hassle? What's the hubbub? The easiest path, I think, is just to clear the board and book them again. And so if this gets approved by the CDC, I think either way, if it doesn't get approved by the CDC, then I don't think Norwegian's going to start cruising in July, and those cruises would get canceled. And so, yeah, that's what I think's happening here. If the CDC greenlights this Norwegian proposal, I believe that Norwegian will cancel all July and August cruises and give everybody their money back, and then open up bookings for these new cruises with 60% capacity with a vaccine requirement. And when you're booking that cruise, it'll be in big letters on your contract. Do you agree to get vaccinated? Because that's the only way that you can book this cruise. I think that that's what's going on. And then one more nugget. I also watched a video from Richard Fain that he put out yesterday, and he talked about whether or not people in the U.S. would be for vaccination. They surveyed their Royal Caribbean customers, and of those that responded, 80% of the passengers said that they've either got the vaccine shot or they would be getting the vaccine shot. And so you can bet that the cruise lines are looking closely to see how many passengers they may lose over the vaccine issue. And this is a bold play by NCL. I think NCL, they know that the government doesn't want to mandate a vaccine. And so I think they're bringing it forth saying, look, we're going to do it. We will mandate the vaccine. Can we restart our business? We're more safe than other aspects of travel. Let us cruise in July. And now we wait to see whether the CDC answers or not. I really hope. I've been filming this for about an hour. I really hope they haven't answered, but hopefully they'll give it some consideration before they straight up reject it, or hopefully they'll say, wow, this is a compelling argument. We'll let them try it. And if it works for NCL, will other cruise lines follow? Those are the big questions coming out of it. What do you think? I'm excited. Of course, I'm always excited, but I am excited. I love the fact this is a well-crafted argument by NCL. I think it makes a lot of sense. I do believe that under those protocols, they're a very place safe to be. It's going to be interesting. Let's have that conversation. Will this fall on deaf ears? Does NCL have a chance? Are we just set up for heartbreak? Let's talk about that in the comments. Thank you so much for watching the show. Make sure you hit that like button. This is Tony with Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.